If you haven't heard the announcement we released before dropping this episode, be sure to take a listen, as today's episode is following a slightly different format than our other 6. We will be going back to our longer audio documentary-style format, but in between our larger episodes, we're trying something new called Zoomed In Moments. And what better place to start than by zooming in on a few love-struck moments made possible by Cupid to wrap up the month of February. First up, a conversation with my cousin, Corey Griffiths, and his wife, Dana Griffiths, followed by another conversation with my close friend, Adriana Taddy. We hope you enjoy this first episode of Shadow Clock's Zoomed In Moments. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. Thanks for being here. So where did you guys meet?
We met in Michigan at the Cabbage Shed restaurant.
Background, I was living in Maryland at the time on the East Coast, and Dana's family has a cabin up there. They go up there every summer, and she was in college at the time. And then my family, we go up there because we have family up there as well. So we were up there every summer, and then we would always go to the Cabbage Shed in Alberta, Michigan.
Can you describe to the listeners what the Cabbage Shed looks like?
It looks like an older, kind of restaurant and bar right out on
very rustic,
a little bay area.
And the whole story to that is it was truly back in, I don't know, the 30s or whenever it was built, it was truly a shed to store cabbage in. So that's why they call it the Cabbage Shed.
Ah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
So me and my side of the family, again, there's probably 12 or 13 of us. We liked the Cabbage Shed. We went in there. We get there, we get seated, and Dana happened to be our waitress.
So I have a question on this. Do you remember the moment you first saw each other?
There was a moment we touched hands when she was giving water and filled up my water. She said she didn't mean to touch my hand, but I think we all know Dana. She definitely planned that. No.
It's funny because I was going to say the same thing because I don't remember necessarily seeing him, and we didn't talk about it, but that was the moment for me too when we touched hands.
Yeah.
When we exchanged the water, and it was I remember it vividly when it happened.
Yeah, and you could definitely feel the good energy.
It was.
Sure.
I've never felt that by an exchange like that.
But after our first kiss, that's when the real magic felt that too. Okay.
You just jumped way ahead there, Corey.
Sorry.
Well, we can hit that moment in a moment. Let's back up to this first moment. So I know this story, but I'd like to know, I never knew about the hands with this hand touching over water. How many people were at your table the night you met?
We were just talking about this because when the hostess came up to me, and it was 4th of July weekend, so we were slammed busy, and she came up to me and said there was a party of 12 or 13 that we just sat. It's your table. And I looked at her. I was so busy, and I said, no, I can't take on that many people. And so she came back and was like, well, let me sit them down. I'll give them their water, get them all. I'll let them know, you need a little time. Would that work? And so I said, yes, okay, I'll take them. Even the fact that it was my table and that I tried to pass them up and still ended up happening.
Yeah, fate always has a different plan. You can think one thing and do another, but it always works out how it's supposed to work out, in my opinion.
So, Corey, can you tell me a little bit about how you took control of that fate when you might have asked Dana out?
I was 22, 23, but single, didn't have any girlfriends or anything like that. So, of course, my sister was all like, oh, my gosh, she's so pretty. You need to ask her out, Corey. And I'm like, I'm not going to hit on a girl in front of my family. Number one, what if she says no? Y'all are never going to let me live that down. But I definitely did notice her. Our hands touched with the water. So there was something there, but it was how is this really going to work? So anyways, I was working for a poultry company. I was in sales there, and I just got a promotion. But the company's logo was Fresh Young Chicken. So really, I'm going to give a business card to people, and it says Corey Griffiths Fresh Young Chicken. That's just kind of embarrassing. I'm selling myself here fresh meat. So anyways, I was passing around the table to the family. I was like, look at this card I got to pass out. I ended up having to go to the restroom towards the end of dinner. I went to the restroom, came right back, and everyone's laughing at me. And I'm like, well, why is everyone laughing? And, they ended up putting the business card in the bill.
So Dana, do you remember the moment you opened I'm assuming it was like a server's checkbook?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me about the moment you saw the fresh chicken card?
Yes, I remember. I remember seeing it and then kind of like closing it and showing the girl that I was working with. And then I was more thinking, oh no, I have to go back to the table now with this whole family. And what am I going to say?
What did you tell the girl? What?
I said, this guy put his chicken card in my check. And she's like, oh, are you going to call him?
And then you said he's really cute. Yes.
I remember being like, I don't know. And then going back to the table, and him and I made eye contact, and he immediately was like, immediately started talking.
Imagine that. So then Dana comes back, and we look at each other in the eye, and she looks away real quick. And I was like, oh boy, this is awkward. So I was like, look, I didn't put that in there. I'm not stalking you. You know, like I wouldn't do that. And Dana, being witty, was like, oh, so you don't want me to call you?
Because I was like, I'm not trying to like hit on you here. You put the number, someone put the number in to me. So I felt like I need to, make it known that this was your doing, not mine.
Was the whole family watching this?
Yes.
Yep.
That was said like to the whole table. Like I wasn't even necessarily directly in front of him when we made eye contact. Like this was a community conversation.
Yep.
So,
and my sister, she really loved the fact that like Dana kind of gave it back, if you will. I was waiting. She was like, oh, so you don't want me to call you? And I was like, whoa, hold on. Here's my cell phone, right? And at the time, you didn't have cell phones on your business card. You truly had like a business phone. So yeah, had to give her those cell phone digits.
Did you notice, Dana, right away that he was like eager?
Oh, yes. And it made up for the like, oh, I didn't do that, in the beginning.
And yeah, ever since then, we've been tied together. So, and one more thing, Katie, around this, it all ties together with those moments. But whenever I proposed to Dana, we went back to the cabbage day. We were on vacation there. She had no idea. And I got one of those server books, and I put like just wrote things that I liked about her in a little poem, and I had it hidden in the kind of back of my pants. And then we were eating dinner, and she had no idea, and I got down on one knee. I did almost knock over the drinks, by the way, but like they literally slow motioned and went, and I was like, oh my God, this is not happening. But they didn't fall over, and
I've never seen you nervous. That was the first time I've ever seen you nervous.
Right, but yes, I did propose to her, and there's a little server book that wrote little special memories and stuff in there, and at the cabbage shed as well. And she said yes. So another part of the story.
So I've got follow-up questions on this. One, do you remember who put the business card in there?
I believe it was your sister, honestly, Mary, but then my sister says that she did it. Or maybe she said it was Ryan. So we're going to have to let them hash it out.
I thought it was Miles.
Oh, see? Look, who knows? Whoever it is, like, we're thankful for any of them, any and all of them. Obviously, some people want some credit for it, but yeah, it was either my sister, your sister, or their husband. Now, we do still have that business card framed and hanging up in our bedroom to this day, so it's pretty awesome.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Hi, how are you? And happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. So thanks for doing this. Happy Valentine's Day.
You.
Oh, thanks. So do you. You always look cute. So it's so fitting that it's Valentine's Day today. I'm looking at these little moments that dive into people's love connections or not love connections. So I would love for you to tell me about the moment you and Allison kissed.
Oh boy. It was like a failed attempt our first time. I think it was our third date that we finally did kiss, but it was the second that was like an embarrassing, like, ugh. She had taken me to this, it was like drag at Hollywood Beach. And it was a really nice night. It was towards the end of summer. So it was like right around my birthday. I don't know, like early October. It was a really night. And I think it was a Sunday. Anyway, we had like this really cute, set up. She brought like a blanket. We grabbed a couple, beers or whatever. We got there and the sun was just like, it was like magic hour. Like the dusk was there, and then it got really dark and the moon rose like right above us. So it was like super magical. It was really pretty, and we watched this show. We had some laughs and stuff. We initially were sitting on the blanket, you know, with space between us. And we just kept inching closer together. And then eventually, you know, maybe 3/4 of the way through the show, our knees were like, had connected, and we just kept them there. And then we just kept like getting like, you know, eventually we were sitting like directly next to each other. It was just really, it was kind of like the first time we like touched, you know, we like kept them there, which was really cute.
Like what? Like you're sitting, you're like knee to knee, like middle school, high school feeling like, so literally you're sitting cross-legged as your knees connect.
Yeah. Like I was just kind of bing, like, you know, like a magnet, like coming into each other. It was cute.
And tell listeners how old you are.
45.
And you still got the
Game.
The bing.
Oh, I still got game.
I like that you're 45 years old and you're telling me that you're sitting on this blanket with your knees touching and it's like you're into it. Do you know what I mean? So you didn't kiss on the blanket?
No, we didn't. So I drove her home, and, you know, the way there, we're like, I had such a great night. You know, I definitely would love to like hang out again. We should do something. And she was like, yes, I'd be interested. And, you know, kind of pulled up to her condo, and I didn't want like a lingering moment in the car. You know how it's always like awkward, you know, it's just like, whoa, what do you do? So I like, you know, said, look, well, I had a great night, and kind of like turned, and then she turned, and like we did this like thing where we like went into like maybe hug each other, but we were like head to head. And then it was like, bow, like dodging like a bullet for some reason for both of us in this way. Like it was just like it was like a missed opportunity because we were both nervous. So like she ended up getting out of the car, and I was like, oh no, like I have no game whatsoever. And kind of giggled about it. And I'm like, well, whatever. Everything happens for a reason. You know, obviously that wasn't like the time we were supposed to kiss, but she had messaged me in the interim, like, had a great night, whatever. And I'm like, me too. And then I think I made like a joke about it. I was like, yeah, let's hang out next time. And next time I definitely won't, you know, fail making like a pass on you. I like really like wish I would have kissed you tonight, or said something like that. I think along those lines. And she was like, yeah, me too. So then it was the next date we had, which was about a week later. We did this paint and sip thing, which was really cool. And I kept calling it like Pinot's Palais, but it's Pinot's Palette. I don't know why. I just thought it sounded fancier, like Pinot's Palais. And then I dropped her off again, and I was just like, I like just leaned to her, and I'm like, we're doing this. like it was like almost like, you know, we were about to amp up for some race or something. I like looked at her like all business-like and was like, we're doing this. And like just leaned in, and it was like a really super soft and like really like not like just it was like a perfect kiss. Like wasn't sloppy or too long or too short. It was like you could tell we had both wanted to kiss each other and like let it linger for a minute. And then she like got out, and then, you know, we've kind of continued this little dance for like, you know, that's how it's been.
Did you actually say we're doing this?
I did. Like my nerves would always get the best of me. And I'm like, fuck, I have to like implement, you know, all these people like Mel Robbins. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do this thing, or, you know, count down and do it. Like, don't drag your feet, just do it, you know? And it, you know, it's been received well. So that is that.
Wait, do you really have Mel Robbins in your head? Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, yeah, like not kind of in my mind, because that book was so influential a little bit in the way like of like, just go for it. Like, who cares? Like, if you fail, you fail. It's like, if you like are afraid of failure, then you're never gonna like do half the shit that like maybe you want to do. And whatever, even if she denied me, I think I could get over it. You know? So I think that was kind of my approach in my mind. But yeah, and we love kissing each other and all the other things too. So
I love the knees touching. That's more of a moment than even I thought. Like, I'm always going for these moments, and then I think I have like, oh, I'm going to interview about the kiss, but that knee touch thing was great.
It's like those little things. You know, we want to hear about the kiss. We want to hear about like, you know, those first like more intimate, deeper moments, or like within friends, like, okay, but it's the beginnings, like that first touch, or people say like, you know, like the first time we held hands, it felt like we just fit. It was like that. It was even like that. Yeah. Even when we first held hands, like I told her early on, like, I really want to, you know, we both like taking walks together. So I was like, I really would love to go on a walk with you. I'd love to hold your hand. And like, it was just really genuine. And then when we did, like, we always hold hands, like they just fit. So I don't know. It's like the little stuff too, outside of the kissing and like, you know, the deeper intimate stuff that has to be there as well, I think.
If you like today's stories, which focus on the smaller moments in life that matter, take a listen to our longer episodes that are not specifically specified as zoomed-in moments. Our non-zoomed-in moments episodes tell the tales of more complex, true-life moments that will take you through the twists and turns of life's journey. Don't miss hearing from Bob, a former bank robber who did 5 years in Alcatraz, or from biologist Diego, who was kidnapped while doing fieldwork in Colombia. And you definitely want to hear about the 150-year-old mummified remains of a child discovered in the backyard of a San Francisco home. This episode of Shadow Clock, including the editing and sound mix, is created by me. Social media is managed by Spencer Masternak. Kate Cosgrove creates original illustrations for each episode of Shadow Clock, which you can also see at shadow-clock.com. Music for this episode is credited to Pond5. Content contributors, composers, and individual song titles can be found on our website at shadow-clock.com. If you like the show, follow us on social media, and please tell a friend about us. The more people who know about Shadow Clock, the more people we can keep sharing these true life moments with. Thank you to Alejandro Velez, Kate Cosgrove, Spencer Masternak, Bruce Sibley, Adam Gould, and Robin Williams. And of course, a huge thanks once again to Corey, Dana, and Adriana for sharing their personal Valentine-themed moments for this episode. Lastly, as we are an independent out-of-pocket podcast, if you feel so inclined to donate, head over to our website at shadow-clock.com and click the contribution button. All monetary contributions go toward pumping out our next episode. I'm Katie Mahalik, and this is a Zoomed In Moments episode of Shadow Clock.